Well, I got to say this. Thank God for the United States. And I'll say that for this reason, because of the Bill of Rights. The fact that it's still there. We can still say, we can still make videos, we can still talk and give our opinion. One thing that's a fear that's in the European Union, considering why it came about and why they're pushing this currency, basically it's going to be about political union, and they're going to go ahead and make it so a bunch of petty dictators will run that show. But, if we stick with the Bill of Rights, number one, we got freedom of speech. But that's not the point of this video, actually. I was looking at Bitcoins, and, I read a couple weeks ago or so that it probably would really take off. It's in a bubble, but it's going to probably really take off. I know just recently, I don't know, was it a few weeks ago, it was $83. Then it went over 100. Then I read somebody bought a Porsche for like 300 Bitcoins, a nice used Porsche. And actually, if you were into, I don't know how those things work, but way back when, if I knew how to work those damn things, I would have mined them too in a computer and got something real tangible. Quite obviously, right now, Bitcoins is in a bubble. And this is the point of I'm making this video. It's not the fact that I'm saying it's in a bubble. Watch the people. I'm not going to mention any names. Probably mentioned a little bit before. But hey, freedom of speech, baby. Calling it like it is. Somebody can criticize Ben Bernanke. I can criticize some other freaking guys out to people or whatever. It could be women too that are maybe playing a few games with the middle class. But whoever's pumping Bitcoins now, somebody never to trust. And that's going to be the same type of deal when it comes down for silver later on. Because Bitcoins, okay, it went 83, it was really high. I know it went from like 30, I don't know, a year ago I think it was. I'm not following it really. 83, over 100. Now, if you had some Bitcoins and you bought a Porsche, you paid 300 Bitcoins for a Porsche, I think you're freaking smart there. I'd probably unload the Porsche for something else though, but I think you're smart there. It's a hell of a lot better than put Bitcoins, that's for sure. It gets you places. And now it's 200, so it's went from 100 to 200 in no time. Then all of a sudden, today it's 2:30 in the afternoon. I don't know if it's going to pull back or whatever, but man, that smells like bubble, bubble, bubble all the way. But there's still people out in the financial world and on the internet pushing Bitcoins like it's a good investment right now. Bullshit. Well, this is the type of deal you're going to find out with silver later on. Silver, I forgot about what his estimates were, and I says, yeah, I remember that. Then his name rhymes with baloney. That's another guy. Yeah, his name rhymes with baloney, but yeah, he does say some baloney, but he has facts in there. But usually that's how it works. You got to put facts in with the garbage. That's really, I guess that's they coined the term disinformation. Basically, it's not all lies. A lot of it's truth. Actually, I can state Lindsey Williams is pretty much about that type of deal, and that's one name I mentioned. But anyway, some people are claiming, in the silver crowd, $1,000 an ounce, $1,500 an ounce. If I took a guess, I think it actually is going to get up to the crazy price of $400 or $500 an ounce, but very briefly. It may. But that's going to be panic city to the max. And most people are going to get screwed at that point. But I saw something yesterday, which I thank the person who sent me that video, because that confirms about what I think silver can go to. There's supposed to be some kind of agreement and with the Chinese or something, or somehow they have this later on, that'll be between $150 to $200 an ounce. That's a hell of a gain. I mean, you're talking 6 times what it is today. That's not something that's small. That's a lot of difference. That may possibly be, and it may actually go a little higher than that, but, Mr. Baloney says that it's going to be $1,500 an ounce. Just compare that. Watch Bitcoins. Don't buy them. I'm not saying to buy them now. I mean, that would have been a smart thing to mine in the beginning if you're into that stuff. Well, I would have done it too, but I don't understand what the hell the crap was about. But if you can get free bitcoins, and you know, hey, somebody used 300 of them to buy a Porsche. I mean, that's what, 30,000. I don't know. It was pretty good, you know. I was a used one, but hey, if you just had your computer churning this stuff out, what the hell, right? But that was the thing. Is it's a piece of air, you know. It's a joke, really, and it's not something I would trust. Good old fiat U.S. greenbacks way before I would ever trust a Bitcoin, and I don't trust U.S. greenbacks at all. So, but just, you know, the lesson, the moral of the thing here is that, you know, just be careful and beware of who's pushing Bitcoins right now, because those are the biggest charlatans in the world. Without mentioning any names, those are the biggest charlatans in the world. Anybody's pushing Bitcoins now, forget about it. If they pushed it last year and they told you to unload it now, they're freaking great. If they're pushing it now and they're telling you this is the safety investment, watch out. Those people, they know what they're doing. I want to point out another bubble that's out there probably. Maybe it's going to be the New York's real estate. It could be. But it might be. New York area, New York City real estate market actually has recovered greatly. And that makes sense. Because when you think about it, where is all the QE money going in one way or another? It's going up in the financial sector, which is really around New York. Basically, you know, I guess this is the resentment between like the North and the South and the Midwest and in the North and stuff like that. Basically, the casino money is always pumped into the New York financial area more than anything. So it makes sense that the real estate prices would rise. Maybe they could continue to rise, but you know, they're the anointed ones, so it's going to continue to rise in that area. It does benefit a certain few amount of people that are heavily into real estate in that area, of course. No doubt about it. That may not be a bubble, though. That may continue because I think it's being pumped by the Federal Reserve at one point, in one way or another, just like the stock market. The stock market, actually, right now, they've had such good earnings. That's what you see right now. The earnings are actually looking good. Now, I talked about possibly earnings looking bad when the reports come out, and that could drive silver briefly below 26. Now, I was never saying like 15 or 20, but I was just trying to keep people psychologically prepared for it and still hold on, because basically it's probably not even that long range. Silver is going to make you good returns. It is. So, but the markets are actually showing good earnings now. So that may be another part why silver's rebounding too, because it's an industrial metal. You know, that's the other thing. Because when the markets are looking good, there's demand for commodities. You know, it's not just silver's not really it's a safety metal for like people that think like I do, and other people probably view my channel, but it's not a safety metal for the people typically in the financial world. It's an industrial metal. It's more of an industrial metal than related to gold even. So if there's a downturn in the production sector, silver gets hit, and along with copper and aluminum and everything else. So, but it looks like there's been good earnings, but actually the worry now is, can earnings be sustained? But, the other thing is, with Korea now talking about test firing nuclear weapons and stuff like that, I think that the worries in the world are probably going to be pretty high, and gold is actually going to go up more, which has an influence on silver, obviously. So, just due to like global tensions and stuff, because what's coming on with Korea is actually getting more and more intense all the time. But just want to be, again, I actually kind of alluded to this a bunch of times before, but silver, $1,500 an ounce, Mr. Baloney, you're full of baloney, big time, no way, $1,500. Twix, Mr. Twix, the other guy, he's thousands of dollars an ounce. You see, people are going to start believing this crap when it starts going up fast, because it's almost like the Bitcoin thing. Bitcoin was 30, it was 83, it was 100. And the naysayers were saying, why would it go past 83? Why would it go past 100? And it's 200, and it's 230. And the naysayers are all wrong. But that's a bubble. That's how it works. Usually, it's tough to judge exactly when it's going to break. But as it gets, as it inflates harder, it's almost like the skin of the balloon is thinner, so it inflates faster or something. More volume goes in there. I don't know how to, that's not a good analogy. That's not why it happens like that. But people's greed pushes it that way. That's really what it is. So, I guess if you're a good Christian, you're not going to be too greedy, so that'll probably save you. How's that? In other words, if silver went well over, you should sell it in stages. But, if people hold on forever, those are going to be the middle class that get, well, you're not going to be holding the bag if you bought it at $10 or some shit, and it goes up to 250 and it crashes down to 100 and you sold it for 10 times. But you're not going to get screwed that way. But people who bought it at 200 or 250 and they're with the promises of it going to 1,000 and it crashes back down to 100, far off in the future here now, they're going to get screwed. And we know who's going to be the ones that are the main pumpers. You could tell who they are right now. I'm surprised these people are even being listened to, because it's so obvious they're playing another, they got ulterior motives, and there's another game and racket going on here. They're no different from the Wall Street sharks who tell you to buy into various financial securities for your retirement fund and all this type of stuff, and they blow up so many years later. Except in the metals, it's actually more severe. So, just want to put this out here that if you observe who is pumping Bitcoins right now, they are people to be avoided completely when you're looking for advice on silver later on when it starts really moving up. But unfortunately, I think they're going to be out there hot and heavy with the sales pitches, and that is exactly how, well, they'll make out, other people won't. That's what happens. The majority will get screwed. That's the only way the price gets into the bubble. Suckers have to buy at that height. And so that's where you have them. So, obviously I'm not a silver pumper. Right now it's not expensive. Actually, I had a very good recovery day today. It's like close to 28 right now. So, I don't know. I didn't expect that. I don't know what the hell it's going to do exactly. They don't call it the devil's metal, but I realized some of the indications is because the earnings reports are actually good. I was warning that if the earnings reports came in and are bad, it could change. Markets influence, market news influences the markets. These reports influence the markets. There's no doubt about it. And you're not going to know ahead of time exactly what's going to come out. Mark Farber does state that, it doesn't look good for the equities because of earnings should be low, because when you're looking at other things, first off, that broad-based commodity index, which is like you can get from the Commodity Research Bureau, it's low. Commodities in general would not be low if there was a high demand for them because of high production. And the retail sector is low, so it has nothing to do with is bad. So, that's an area that the commodities don't even are used in, the retail sector. The retail sector in the United States is actually very bad. So, you're wondering, how is all these numbers coming out that the manufacturing index is so high? Because it's not coming from any place, really. The GDP, why is it so high? That's why I say the numbers are rigged. And if you start looking at the numbers from Europe, they're bad. And then if you look at the Chinese numbers, they're probably massaged over, because I think it was somebody who works for Mark Farber said this, that the countries China exports to, when you look at their numbers, the numbers of the countries that China exports to, they don't match up well with what China says is going out, because they're telling you what they're importing from China. They don't match up well. So you're wondering, that makes you think the earnings should be bad, but somehow they're good. But, my point on this whole deal is anybody who is pushing Bitcoins right now, telling people this is going to be your safety right now. 200 something dollars an ounce, or a coin, whatever it is. They're people to avoid like the plague, and you're going to see them out of the woodwork later on when silver starts taking off. Because this $1,500 an ounce garbage and thousands of dollars an ounce and all this kind of garbage, it may very briefly go to 400 or 500 in a 2-day window or something like that, or that's typically what it seems to be. But I think when it's at the height, from what somebody sent me yesterday, and that's what I thought. I figured 150 to 200. It's going to get up there pretty good. It's going to be more than what Lindsey Williams said even. But the Lindsey Williams price might be here, I think, in 2014, is 75 to 100. And then we'll see it go even higher later on. So that may be legit. But just beware of bubbles and watch for your next move, because your next move is just as important as making the money on silver. If somebody sold silver at 150 an ounce and somebody got luckier and got sold it at 250 an ounce, and the one that sold it at $250 an ounce did not make the right investment after that, guess who? It's like the tortoise in the hare. You want to keep watching what your next move is and keep planning all the time.